Welcome to Hopeland.
Hello, everybody.
We're back.
We are back.
It's us, but we're not who we were before.
No, we have changed. We have transformed. We are like lizards transforming between lizard and human.
We shed our skin.
Shed our skin and become something new.
I think that's super weird.
What, lizards?
Yeah, my friend Ruth looks after reptiles.
Yeah.
And she sends pictures of like her snakes and stuff. And there's like a hollow snake where the snake where
the snake was.
Yeah, where the snake was.
Yeah.
And she's always like, "Oh, it's a really big deal," and the snake shed its snakes shed its skin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just bonkers.
Yeah.
Imagine being a little baby snake.
Yeah.
You're a little baby snake, right? And you're kind of new to the world, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, this is really cool." And then all of a sudden, your skin falls off. I mean, what?
Yeah. I mean, first time must be pretty mad. It's like, what's this? What's going on here? What's happening?
Yeah. We should say we're Hopeland now.
Hopeland.
We should talk about what the podcast is. I read about how to do podcasting.
Did you?
It says we're supposed to announce.
Supposed to tell people who we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, and we're supposed to announce who we are. So we're Hopeland. And
Hopeland.
I'm Neil, and you're Chris.
Yes.
And what we thought we'd do, we've been podcasting for a long, long time. We did lots of music and stuff, but we're fed up fighting with the wonderful music licensing laws. And so we decided to do something different.
Yes.
And so what we thought we'd do is like pick a topic each week and then talk about it.
Yeah, and for those who are familiar with our previous incarnation, which was called Monster Shop, you'll know that we got to a point where we were working very nicely with AI. And Alan, who was our AI, is, it was helping us with the show, which was great.
He's gone to sleep now.
He has, but we have got a new friend.
Yes.
We've got Alexa. So we managed to wire in Alexa so that we can talk with Alexa.
We might ask her a question later if we're brave enough.
We might do. Let's just see if it works. Hello, Alexa.
Hey up me duck.
See, she's
there she is.
So the concept we got for the show basically was we would take a look at a topic and do the usual thing that we do, right? And see the misery and humour and nihilism and stuff in it. But then, we thought we'd call the show Hopeland because what we thought we'd do, which uncharacteristically for us, we'd find a positive in it as well.
Yes.
And this week...
Yeah, we are going for weekly and we are going for thematic, aren't we? They're the two scripts that we have so far.
Yeah, all of that. And then, but this week, there are two things that led me down this path, right? I thought we'd look at aging and getting old. And there are two big things that kind of led me onto it. One, I saw everybody giving Joe Biden a hard time saying he's too old.
Yes.
And every time I hear somebody say that, you're too old, I hear that Eminem track where he talks about Moby.
That?
And he goes, Moby, you're too old, let go, it's over. No one listens to techno. So let's go. It's brilliant. Every time I hear somebody say that, that's what I hear in my head. And anyway, I saw that and I thought, it's true, yeah, he is incredibly old. And why?
Moby.
No, not Moby, but Moby's quite old as well. But then I thought, all of the really
all of them
important people in the world, they all are really old.
Yeah.
And the Americans were using it as an argument to say, oh, well, he's too old, so you should have Trump, who's 3 years. They're both really old. And then
3 years younger, is it?
Yeah, and then I looked at what people were complaining about for Biden, and he got a little bit confused, bless him.
Yeah.
And then the best bit, the bit that absolutely convinced me we had to do it this week, was that they then did a thing where he was talking to his fans and supporters and stuff to explain that he wasn't too old and his memory was actually great.
Yes, yeah.
And then he got confused and started talking about politicians in Europe that had died.
Right.
And it was comedy genius. And I thought, we got to do that. But then the second thing it's the last ever Grand Tour.
Oh, really?
And I watched that and it was brilliant. And it's basically three fat old men dicking about in cars, as usual.
Yeah.
But I read Clarkson and James May both saying, look, it's just a lot of work and we're all quite old. And,
right.
Clarkson is basically saying, look, it's just too big, it's too much, and we're kind of over it, right? We've done what we wanted to achieve, and I just feel those things take such a toll, and we're not young men anymore, and we find it really difficult. And I thought, let's talk about that because I don't know, there are things like age kind of creeps up, right?
Yeah.
There are some positives of getting older, I think.
Yes.
There are some things that I think I'm better at now, but there's a ton of stuff that you think, like when I was 20, you just have this kind of confidence that, do you know what I mean? If you like you imagine that, like, let's say you were in like the world's worst car accident ever.
Yeah.
You'd just have a nap for a bit. And you'd probably be all right.
It's like hangovers.
Yeah, you just have the worst catastrophic injuries, and then you just like, I seem to be okay. Brilliant.
That recovery thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you go out and you'd have a big night, and you get back about 3 or 4 in the morning, and you'd be up again at 7 for work.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal. You got a bit of a headache.
Yeah. Now it's like a week out, isn't it?
Now it's. I mean, I stopped drinking completely in 2017, 18, yeah, something like that.
Wow.
So it was quite a while ago now. Just
So
completely.
like not a drop, anything.
No, not a drop at all.
Wow.
And there are two things. That one, I had my gallbladder removed.
Ah, okay.
And then
So if you drank, would you die now?
No, I know. I just found that there was no pleasure in it. I just found I would have a little bit of a drink and then pass out.
Yeah, okay.
So there was virtually no
point.
You know, the happy zone you get into, didn't have that at all.
Right.
And the other thing is I would then wake up with the world's worst, like I'd been shot in the face. And then it would take me like a week to recover. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I just stopped.
Stop that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It is, but it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and there are like, I was talking to a friend this week because I kind of knew we were going to do it on this topic, right? And I thought back when I was in my 20s, I would go into meetings, like 2-hour long meetings, no pad, no pen, no notes,
Yeah.
and I would remember for weeks afterwards.
Yes, everything.
Like the
yeah.
precise details of who was doing what numbers were mentioned and everything.
What socks they had on.
Yeah, and the whole
all that.
thing. And now I go into a meeting for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And if I don't write stuff down,
It's gone.
yeah, I'm like a canary when I come out of the meeting and I'm just like,
No idea.
yeah. And people chase you and they say, oh, what's the status on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea.
No idea.
Unless it's written in front of me. I find my memory's more selective.
Yes. Yeah.
So like I can go upstairs and forget why I've gone upstairs.
Yep.
That just useless. When it comes like to lyrics of music from the like 80s metal songs, I've been listening to hair metal this week massively. I've been decorating and singing my little heart out to like Danger and just all these kind of massive hair bands, like Bon Jovi and stuff.
Yeah.
Know all those lyrics.
Yep.
My brain's brilliant at that.
Yeah.
Can't remember why I decided I've gone upstairs, but I can't remember when it started.
Yeah. Is it memory or is it focus? Because that for me is like I'm so distracted all the time by everything, and actually I never was much before.
Yeah,
I was quite focused. Like on 20s, there's not much to worry about, is there?
No,
you're quite focused. And is it about your capacity and your cognitive abilities, or is it actually because there's so much to think about? It's really hard to channel in and focus in. Like it's the whole asking someone for directions.
Oh,
the window goes down. I mean, you don't get that so much more because you got your maps and that. But you used to go into a city and you'd be like, oh, how'd you get to, like, it was always for gigs.
It's like
how'd you get to this venue?
Left, right, yeah. And you're like, no,
it's gone.
Left, no more. That's it.
Now there's a word for that. It's called cognitive load.
Is
and
it?
if you have, it's the amount you can sort of hold in your short-term memory or your working memory, and it's quite limited. This is why you'll find in classrooms and stuff like that these days, there's not so much visual material around because it's said to overload you cognitively.
That is what they test fighter pilots for. So one of my hobbies for a long time is shooting, photographing like low-level jets and
be careful with shooting.
and I've just been part of the US Air Force and the RAF, just doing photography and bits and pieces over the years. And I've been really fortunate to go and work with teams in the RAF and the US Air Force.
Wow.
And talk with the pilots.
And
one of the things that always amazes me is when they go through that training process, the kinds of things that they are, A, taught, but B, tested on. And it's the cognitive load. It's this having probably, 10 pieces of information.
Right.
Updating every second, thrown at you while you're flying
a plane.
And it's amazing. And they all do this thing where it said it kind of it's really weird when you first start to do it. It's incredibly complicated, like driving a car. If you imagine all the things you do driving a car, really hard, but then eventually it becomes like subconscious and second nature.
Yeah.
And they say you kind of have to get to that part, right, where flying the plane is like totally subconscious. You are not thinking about bleeding speed and how you should be banking the aircraft and all that kind of that stuff is just completely second nature.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, your conscious part of the brain is kind of analyzing all of this stuff, where the threats are, where are you, where are the mountains, all this kind of stuff.
Where are the MiGs?
Yeah, but it's just this thing where you kind of imagine, when you think, oh, fighter pilots,
Yeah.
it's just brilliant fun. You get in a plane, whiz it about, shoot stuff, it's brilliant.
Wear aviators,
Yeah.
bomber jacket.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it.
but honestly, it blew me away. That and the other thing
Oh,
that blew
pull
me
G's. You pull G's.
You do pull G's. A lot of that. The thing that blew me away, and because I think I'm quite intelligent, and
Yeah.
then whenever you see any of those tests, you just fail miserably, and it's like it feels like for me, it feels like my brain's been electrocuted.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
I can't do it, right? And then the second thing is when they said, "Do you want to have a go in the water writing test?" And I'm going, "Yeah, let's do that." And they strap you in the thing, flip you upside down, dunk you in a pool, and you have to get out.
Yeah.
My brain can't do that either. My brain's like going, I don't know where I am.
Yes.
So you're what you're supposed to be able to do is kind of vaguely know where you are. You're supposed to kind of you're really disorientated. You're supposed to kind of unclamp yourself, orientate yourself by things, and then get out.
Yeah.
And then
And do you have a breathy thing?
no.
No breathy thing.
No breathing thing. There's a man there who hoiks you out if you, hoiked me out quite a lot. If you can't orientate yourself, they kind of just go whoosh, and they whip you out. But
And they know they've got the.
it's bonkers. It's like, if you ever banged your head,
Yeah.
it's a bit like that.
Okay.
Where you kind of,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
really so disorientated. You've got no idea where you don't know which way's up or down. And then they just say, when you get out, the pilots say things like, "Oh yeah, just like look, just figure out where the light is and go because it's lighter at the top of the book. So just do that." Yeah, I'll just do that.
Look for the light. Go up.
But yeah,
It's like
cognitive
traveling
load.
to Scotland.
The best directions. For those who don't know, as Chris is in a band called Riding the Low, and we spent 1 year, at least probably a couple of years. We were out. It felt like every weekend.
Yeah, we're off doing stuff.
A
Yeah.
show or a gig
Yeah.
somewhere, and we were going to. Where was it?
It was some
Rec
festival in
Rock
Scotland.
or-
No. It was Electric
Electric
Fields,
Fields.
was it, in Scotland?
Yeah, Electric Fields, and it
yeah.
was a lot. We're in the Midlands. We're in South Derbyshire, and it was a long way
Yeah.
north. And we got in the car, and I'm a little bit, I'm not controlling, but I like to know where we're going.
You're a bit controlling.
And I said to you, where are we going? And you went, oh, well, what we're going to do is like turn right and then turn left and then go up. And then we're just going to keep going up until we see a sign for Electric Fields. I was like 200 miles away. They were the plan. That was the plan. That was it as well.
Yeah. That was it.
And
Yeah,
stop for a wee every 20 minutes.
Yes, and then asking for directions and not listening.
That's the question while we're talking about aging. When did your love of weeing start?
Oh, mate, I've always been a wee lover.
Have you?
Yeah.
So it didn't come to you with like...
No. There was I don't know. No, there was always actually probably about the time. I reckon it was about the time where I went in cars, because when you go in cars, you can't wee in cars. You have to go somewhere else to wee. Yeah. It's all. Yeah, I went to the doctors about it, and the man said like, "There's," because I thought I was going to die, and he said, "No, you're all right. It's just all in your head.
Oh.
So you don't actually need a wee. It's just in your mind."
Yeah, until you actually do need a wee.
Yeah.
And then you do. But, that's a bit weird. So I wanted to also talk this week about, I went for, I joined up to this thing called Our Future Health,
Okay.
which is like an NHS thing
Yeah.
where they check your health every year,
Oh no.
like for a long time.
Oh no.
And then they use that data to start to predict the signs
Your
of
death.
Of poor health. But it's amazing. I went to do mine, and I'm 50 this year.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel it. I'm the last 10 years. Like when I was 39, I don't think I felt any different to when I was 18. Like
Yeah,
physically.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
I could have, I just didn't matter. Everything worked. Everything was fine. It was all good. And then I got to like 45, and like my hair started to thin a little bit on the top, and that was the first bit. And I just started to think, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And then I got hair in my ears, and there must be an evolutionary reason for that, but I don't know what it is, and it's rubbish.
Blocking out the noise of the teenagers. That's what it is.
Yeah, gagging. And then so there was that,
Yeah.
and then probably the last 2 or 3 years, like previously, if I wanted to lose weight, I used to spend a lot of time climbing mountains and things. And if I wanted to lose weight, I would just eat a bit less.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I'd lose weight. And my trousers would get a bit thinner and I'd be able to climb up the mountain a bit easier. And it was brilliant. Now, if I want to lose weight, I have to like not eat for a year. And you might lose like 2 pounds.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm starting to, and my eye, last year, January last year, I had to go and get an eye test because I couldn't read anything.
Right.
I found myself sitting in meetings last year. It was the year before actually. And I remember my boss, who might listen, say, Justin, if you're listening to this, this is what was happening. And I remember to say, there's my mate Justin and my mate Dave, and we were in this meeting, the three of us were in this meeting, and Justin put up this slide with a bunch of data in it.
Yes.
And I couldn't read it. I was having to zoom in.
Wow.
And I just couldn't read the data. And I was like, there's something weird here.
Yeah.
You started thinking it was my brain and stuff or whatever. And it wasn't. It was just I needed reading glasses. And again, I got to that point where it's like that realization that I've got my hair's a little bit thinning. I've got hair growing out of my ears. I can't lose any weight. I can't lose weight anymore. That just seemed impossible. So you got to eat. If it tastes nice, you need to buy bigger trousers. And I can't read anything.
Yeah.
And then so I got that all kind of happened over the last year for me. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm falling apart. So I went for my future health test, expecting the man to say, just give in. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of almost expecting him to say, look, do you know, I just wouldn't even bother going home. Just, you know what I mean? Just kill yourself there.
Yeah.
Save everybody, you got like days to live. And he didn't. He said, you're incredibly healthy. My cholesterol was 3.2.
Wow.
Which is, he said, that's the lowest cholesterol I've ever seen in anybody.
Yeah.
He did my sitting heart rate, which was 59.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, I've not done any exercise since we last went on a bike together. It was ages ago. And then he says, your blood pressure is exactly 120/80. He said, which again is dead rare. So I kind of, when you go, obviously that's really positive news. And then I went back and sat in my car and thought, well, why do I feel so crap? Why am I so tired all the time? Why is this? It's life. Because then I also read this week that there's a bunch of things that, medicine happening where lots of things that kill you now, so various cancers and dementia and things. Yeah, there's treatments for this kind of stuff that is kind of in infancy and is getting better and better. So
wow, that's amazing.
By the time that you and I run into this stuff, actually they might be able to prolong our life a little bit longer.
Yeah, and robots. By then,
I love robots.
So we'll be able to do like bits of robot on us.
I'd love a bionic. Yeah. We'll talk about the bionic arm in a minute. But I just sat in my car and I was just thinking, I don't want to live for it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But the way I feel right now today,
yeah,
I'm not sure that, given that slide down,
yes,
by the time I'm in my 80s and 90s, I just want to swear at people out the window. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure I want to be around. Making people's lives a misery.
Yeah. For me, it was going on TikTok.
Oh, God.
And looking at that and going, no.
I went on. So we got this. My brain's got three. I only remember three things. And to keep me on track here, I want to talk about Diane Abbott. Right. I want to talk about the man with his bionic arm.
Yes.
That particular thing, and TikTok.
So yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm preempting.
You are, because TikTok. I thought we've got a new show.
Yeah.
And we want to appeal to a broad audience.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like our last shows. I mean, men like us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So our
audience
was 40 to 60-year-old men.
Yes.
From England.
Yeah.
And so we thought. Be great. It'd be great if we could do something that was a little bit broader. I mean, have some guests on. We could have Lindsay on.
Yeah.
We could have all kinds of clever friends on that we've got around the world and stuff, and talk about topics and things. So we're going to plan all of that and do that. And I thought that'd be brilliant.
The P word.
But then I thought what we could do is look on TikTok.
Yeah.
See what was popular.
Okay. Yeah.
So I thought if I spent like half an hour or so, I could skim TikTok, see what people were doing.
Yeah.
And I thought we could do the same kind of things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? An appeal to those kind of people. And it's a bit weird. Really weird.
Yeah.
It's like, so I had my feed had a lot of girls trying on clothes.
Yeah.
Do just pulling on really tight clothes, going, oh, these fit really well. These are from the TikTok shop.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know TikTok had
That's
a shop.
Is it?
That's a bit bizarre.
Right.
There's a lot of DIY tips.
Yeah, but you like welding.
I love welding.
Yeah.
I like DIY, but there's just a lot of filling holes.
Yeah.
Just a lot of that. A lot of people painting.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people with rollers, dipping rollers into the walls and then showing you how to roll. These videos are getting like 500,000 views of somebody rollering a wall. Which was just bonkers. Yeah. And then there's a lot of kind of kids doing like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I came to the conclusion that we're not going to be popular.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
No. And what was, I've forgotten the three things. That was
bionic arm.
Bionic arm is one of my favourite videos of that man with a bionic arm, and it's clearly got a special pleasure mode.
I know.
and they're interviewing him, and he says, and he's demoing it, and he accidentally puts it into pleasure mode, and it's like a bang, 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 and he's on the desk, and the interviewer's trying not to crack off, and it's just beautiful. The TikTok generation don't get it.
No, don't they? Is that not,
peak.
That's what it is.
That's peak
that
funny.
And anything by Greg Davis.
Oh, I love Greg Davis as well. And then the
Diane Abbott.
Then the third thing, I want to play a clip of this. If we can play, I'm going to send you the clip. If we can feed the clip in it, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's a clip of Diane Abbott, and this is like genuinely one of my worst fears ever. Like I do lots of public speaking in front of lots of people. And this like what happened to Diane Abbott is my worst fear.
Right.
And I think that's why I find it so funny. But she's been interviewed on it's LBC.
Yes, okay, yeah.
And the guy's asking her about the 20,000 police officers. And he says, we're going to get 20,000 police officers. And she says, yeah, we are. And he says, how much are they going to cost?
Yeah.
And then he goes at like number wang. She's like, 30,000, 12 million, 250,000 each. And then the guy's going, that doesn't make any sense. They're going to get paid £8,000 each then by doing the maths. No, we're going to pay them the going rate. And he said, well, okay, great. How much is that?
Yeah.
Millions. And she just completely
it's gone.
Yeah, just completely out of it. And I just think that, I don't know. It makes me laugh. I think it's really funny, but it kind of comes back to this whole Joe Biden thing, right?
Yes.
At the time, Diane Abbott wasn't in her 80s.
No.
She was just having a bad day. I think someone said that she had diabetes.
Right.
Diabetes.
Yes.
But she's just having a bad day, and we all have bad days.
Mm.
And I don't know. I'm not convinced memory is such a brilliant indicator of being able to make good decisions.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Looping back to Biden again. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I'll tell you why I think that, because I saw another piece of research this week that talked about where you peak at various activities, right? So it talks about things like if you want to be like an Olympic skier.
Yes.
Or you want to be, I don't know, it talks about all of these different things, right? So your reaction time peaks at about 21.
Right. Okay. Yep.
And so if you anything to do with that kind of physical reaction time, that's when it peaks. But then it talks about things like strength actually peaking a little bit later.
Right.
So and then it talks about like other things, and the cognitive ability and reasoning starts to peak actually kind of in 50s and 60s.
Does it really?
So so your ability to process data and understand things. So if somebody gives you a complicated problem to solve, like so let's say it's something that's not simple, right? So I guess something that politicians have to deal with in that kind of world of it's not right or wrong, right? There's a lot of shades of grey.
Yeah.
And it kind of, the penny dropped, and it's like, that's why politicians are so old. Because when I was in my 20s, I thought I was really, really clever, but I'd have oversimplified a lot of these things. Do you know what I mean? I'd have jumped to I'd have jumped to a right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
I'd have gone, oh no, that's the right thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now I find that my memory's probably not as good as it was, but I'm far more able to like understand the nuances of a particular problem and think about and empathize with different people's positions. And I kind of get that. It's almost like this alarm bell rings if something seems too simple. It's like I've not understood this properly. I need to dig a little bit deeper. And I kind of think that's why politics is dominated by old people.
Yeah, because it's interesting because the thing that I was going down when you were talking about that is this idea of the growth mindset and the neuroplasticity and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we have this sort of, I suppose, generational thinking of having a fixed mindset and being cognitively on one level, and you can't get better at that, and you can't. That's your thing. That's how good you are at that. And I think that the root of that is actually, the high stakes testing models that we would use to kind of test, examinations, if you like, and that sort of stuff. And I think because of those and because of the way that you categorize success in those, it kind of leads you to believe that you're of a certain ability or a certain level. And actually, all the science points to this idea of neuroplasticity, and that, the amount of time and effort that you put into something and, focus on it attentively, you are undoubtedly going to get better.
Yeah.
And there was always that understanding that age, that would do, as you get older, your memory deteriorates, your ability to learn deteriorates.
Yeah.
And actually it doesn't, you just don't do it as much.
Yeah.
So if you actually, regularly practice new stuff, learning, trying new things out and that sort of thing, then that you can almost see that point you made about being cognitively sharper. This would enhance that also. So actually, as you get older, this idea that you have to slow down and not do as much is probably quite the opposite.
I find it super weird. I mean, I work in software, and bizarrely, I've found being able to pick up new languages much easier now than I would have done in my 20s.
Is that because of the coding, do you think?
I don't know.
Because that's a language in itself, isn't it?
I don't know. I think some of it is that I think I'm much better at slowing down now than I was then.
Okay.
So I think in my 20s, it would be like if it took me more than 20 seconds, I was bored and I was, I wanted to do something else. You know what I mean? I was like, blah, 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 blah. Whereas now I'm very much more, okay, I need to go and learn this, or I need to go and pick up Rust. I need to go and learn this language.
Yeah.
And there'll be a reason for me to need to go and do that, and I just go and do it.
Right. Okay.
And I think also my expectations of myself are probably more accurate. So I kind of think, do you know what? I'm not expecting to learn a complete language in 20 seconds. Probably take me, a month to get to a point where I think I'm reasonably competent, and then I can start to learn and go forward a bit more. Same with AI as well, understanding how AI works and how that's radically changing my role. But understanding not only how it works, so how we integrate it at work and what we do with it, but also how I can work with it to make my life easier.
Yeah.
I'm finding, weirdly, and this is kind of against everything that everyone tells you, I'm finding I'm getting better as I get older. Than worse. Yeah. So I think a lot of the stereotypes are just nonsense. I was going to say as well that before we did this show, you were showing me some guitar work that you'd done for the new Riding the Low record.
Yeah.
And it's really weird for me, seeing I think your playing, your confidence and your playing is so much better.
Wow.
Than perhaps where it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's weird to me. I don't play well enough to critique you and to say, oh, you should be doing a flat or whatever. But but just as somebody listening and seeing you play, it's really weird. And that's coming from your practice and confidence and all of the things that go around that. But so I really
enjoy making massive sounds. There's a bit of that as
massive.
Well. Anything that sounds massive, and I'm there. I love it.
But I do think that actually, there's no reason why, as you get older, you have to conform to stereotypes, right? And memory might not be as brilliant, and you might not be able to go and run marathons anymore or whatever you do, but. You probably could if you wanted.
Yeah.
Do you know, and that's kind of the thing that I guess the point, the position I think I got to with this one is that because I was going to ask the question, how old is too old, right? So if Biden, so if Joe Biden is too old to be the president of America,
yeah,
where's the
line?
Yeah, what you've done intrinsically is you've said, there's a line now.
Yeah.
So if there's a line, where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at 70?
Yeah.
At 75, at 60? Or where do you draw it? Do you make them do an IQ test? Do you make them do a memory test? Do you make them do an eye chart test?
Yeah.
And then I started to think about, well, what is important? Well, so when you're electing your presidents, and in our case the prime minister, right? What is important? Right, so we've got Rishi Sunak. It's going to be a massive year for electing people. The US elections, and we've got election here in the UK too. So we've got Rishi Sunak and we've got Keir Starmer.
Yes,
right. And the actual fact for the vast majority is it becomes a popularity contest, right? That's basically what will happen. But if you were to analyze this, what are the skills we're looking for? What are this? Is empathy more important than somebody being able to have a good memory? Yeah. And how do you balance these things? And it was I kind of got to this point where I thought we were just going to do this whole thing where I was going to say, how old is too old? Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I kind of got to this point where I thought, do you know what? All of these things came into question. Well, if age doesn't matter, which I don't think it does.
Yes.
What does?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And I got a bit lost with it because I kind of think you've got these biases, right? Like I really don't want to see President Trump, right? I don't like the man. I think he's, I think some of the things he's done are absolutely horrific. I know people really, really love him, right?
Yes.
And it's similar with Starmer and although I think no one likes Sunak at the moment. So, but you kind of think, well, that's a popularity contest, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then if it's a popularity contest, which is what how I got to the point and assumed, okay, well, if age isn't important and these things aren't important, why do we elect old people?
Yeah.
Why do we put old people in these positions of power?
Is it that the maternal or paternal thing?
Oh, well, like a dad. Well, yeah,
like country dad, country mum. Excuse me.
Well, just too old to cause to cause a problem.
Yeah.
We had this thing. We always
or nan. You can't have nat and nan because you can't
no.
Like the Queen was your nan, wasn't she?
She was
like nan level.
She was a bit. Yeah, she was a bit scary. I always thought the Queen was a bit scary.
Yeah.
I can imagine her being quite harsh. I always imagined her being a bit.
She wouldn't take any nonsense.
I can imagine all of the kids in the palace having a clip. Do you know what I mean? I imagine them. She'd be like, "Come here, young man." Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine her being like.
Not a doddle.
No, I can't imagine her saying, "Let's all sit down and talk about our feelings." She wasn't that, was she?
No.
She was, right, fetch me tea and biscuits, put the telly on, because she wouldn't have a remote control, would she? She'd have like an old-fashioned telly set. She'd be like, put Radio 1 on.
Yeah.
And then she'd like...
It'd just be that Paddington thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I did like that film. I like Paddington.
I've got a question for our listeners. Do you know, well, we haven't got any listeners anymore. So it'll probably go back to our listener again.
Our listener.
Why? What's this obsession with people showing... Like, when people do dying, when people die, people always draw them holding hands with Paddington.
Oh, yeah, they do, don't they? The Paddington thing.
Since when did Paddington take over the Grim Reaper? When did that happen? And whose idea was it?
Paddington and his scythe.
Yeah, I mean, was there a meeting we didn't go to where everybody was just like, Grim Reaper's a bit scary.
Yeah, let's go Paddington.
Millennials are getting a bit upset about that, and they need a safe space because he's got a sharp thing. Let's use a small bear instead.
I just think, but you could flip that, and Paddington could actually be the harbinger.
He's quite evil.
Yeah,
red eyes.
Yeah.
Then you just turn around and like bite your face off.
He rubs you with honey before he eats you, that sort of thing.
Oh, don't you know? When
is he the honey one? No, that's Winnie the Pooh.
Marmalade.
I'm getting my up with Winnie the Pooh.
You're getting your honey and your marmalade mixed up.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Who does the voice? Is it Ben Whishaw?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think it's Ben Whishaw that does the voice. It's brilliant because he does Q in Bond as well.
Oh, okay. Right,
that messes with my brain. I can't cope with the fact that...
was that John Cleese for a bit?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But it messes with my mind a little bit because I so associate with Ben Whishaw in Bond.
Right.
Because he's a software dev who like has complete control over stuff. and drinks Earl Grey tea.
Lady Grey.
Lady Grey. And speaks precisely. And I always just think, do you know what? If I'd have worked a bit harder at school, I could have been. but then he's also the voice of Paddington. I love the idea of like, you know, imagine the shot. Right?
Yeah.
So at this point, you've got like the Buckingham Palace, the Queen's there. And then Paddington's there.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see like the back of Paddington and the Queen.
Yeah.
And the camera comes in and there it is. And then you can Paddington, it looks like he's eating marmalade from the jar. But actually when the camera pulls in, he's not.
Yeah.
He's just eating the Queen's face. And then he turns around and he's red eyes and he stares at you and game on. And then that's it, you're running. Then, And then that's it, you just the whole movie is him eating the royal family. All of them.
I don't think we need a human director for that. I think we could probably create that.
Do that with AI
in another way. Yeah. One thing I did want to ask you was, have you had like an official midlife crisis yet?
I don't know.
Because I've definitely had a quite
you had a convertible,
motorbike,
tattoos.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what I've had.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. Maybe it's coming.
Yeah.
Maybe it's coming to me soon. Do you know,
you'd definitely get a stupid car. You'd get something really, that would offend everybody.
I really want to get. I love Porsche 911s, and I've never had one. But partly because I can't afford the one I want is the GT. I want the GT3.
Yeah.
And just
you
can't
can
afford
get that.
Well, what I'm hoping for is that everyone's moving to electric cars. I'm a bit disappointed because
I see.
The world's moving to electric cars, right?
Yeah,
and I was thinking, this is going to be great. Everyone's going to buy electric cars, and then these amazing Porsche GT. Everyone's going to forget about them. Right? The most amazing cars. And everyone's going to go, oh, no one wants that.
Yeah.
Turns out that that's not what's happening.
No.
So there's still £300,000. And
I had one the other day where I've reached an age where I'm looking at like old Jaguars and going, oh, but that's really comfortable.
Oh my God, yeah. It is. You're dead right. It's when you look at cars and you think, oh, I bet that's got a comfy seat. Nice heater.
Oh, I bet that's got heated seats. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. What age does that start?
I don't know. I've only just got it. So,
have you?
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up racing cars. So we don't live far from Donington Park, and I grew up with all of my influences as a kid were motor racing. Yeah. So I kind of grew up. I think probably the first time I sat in a car and moved a car would have been in the paddock at Donington.
Yeah.
And so for me, cars, that feeling of a car is about how it moves underneath you and how much control you've got of the car. And do you know what I mean? That for me was always what it was about. It was rear wheel drive. It was balance. It was, just that's what made me tingle. But I don't anymore. Same as you. Yeah. Same as you. Now I just kind of think quite like 4-wheel drive in case it's a bit slippy. I'd quite like comfy seats. I don't want it to be too noisy.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? But I think about my Renault 5 GT Turbo.
The box on wheels.
Yeah, which just that sounded like, I don't know, that was just bonkers. And then I had Exiges, which had a supercharged Exige, which just, that sounded like it was going to explode in your behind. It was just this manic noise behind you.
Yeah.
And I've had all kinds of bonkers cars over the years. In fact, talking of getting old, I still remember having my Lotus Exige, white Lotus Exige, black wheels, supercharged, just
what a dream car that is.
Phenomenal car that was. And then and then we had a baby.
Yes.
And then I realised I've got to try and get a car seat. So I actually rang Hethel. I rang Lotus in Hethel and said, "Are there any car seats that will fit in the Exige?" And you get that kind of quiet pause. Of just no. And I'm like, it's got to be, somebody's got to have done
Someone's
this.
got to have done this.
Somebody's got to have done this. So I looked and looked. And so I thought, I know. I'm going to Halfords. So I drove into Halfords in Burton-on-Trent with my car seat.
Yeah.
And then
you make that go in there, please.
Spoke to the 12-year-old. No sign of facial hair, just all kind of happy. He pops off out there and he says, "Yeah." I said, "Look, I've got a little car. Can you come and help me try and get it to fit?" "Yeah, this will fit any car."
Yeah.
Out he comes. It turns out it doesn't fit any car. So do you know what I replaced it with?
What?
Mondeo.
Did you? Yeah. That's a very sensible car.
Hated it. Hated it every second of driving. I only had it for about 6 months, and then I replaced it with an M5. I just couldn't.
No,
I just couldn't do it. It was front wheel drive. It was. I think it was too extreme. I don't think I'd gone through. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I was old enough. I don't think I got to the point where I am now. Whereas now, actually, the thought of that Mondeo would be fine.
Yeah, as long as it's got heated seats.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It had the chilled seats.
Oh, okay.
So it was really. It was a Gear X.
Okay. Wow.
Do you remember
that's
those?
a good engine in that.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah.
But I hated it, and then then went and got got an M5 instead. Which was very sensible. It had 4 doors.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that wasn't sensible.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. That.
And then I kept that for about a year, and then I got a 535D.
Yeah.
So steadily got more sensible.
Yeah.
At the point I bought my first diesel car, the 535D, I thought that was I thought that was the most sensible car that anyone could ever buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it turns out you can be much more sensible than that. But there you go. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So how are we going to end the hope? Because this is Hopeland.
Yes.
And how are we going to end the show?
I haven't thought about this. Fire, probably, because that's the I like the artwork you've done, and I like that. I like the idea behind that.
The nihilistic. I like that. I'm quite.
Why don't we ask Alexa to give us a message of hope about getting older.
From thejoint.com. Getting older comes with its own set of rewards, such as wisdom, self-assuredness, confidence, self-acceptance, and perspective.
I think on that's a nice way to end it.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.
Hopeland is finished, normality restored. Anything you still can't cope with is therefore your own problem.